What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? As you read in the title, we got an exciting new series starting. We're gonna be linking up with this kid in person and taking his agency from $0 to $10,000 a month. This is part one of the series, so comment down below if you enjoy the video. But basically, we're gonna be meeting up at a cafe. I'm gonna be spending an hour with him. This is gonna be like the onboarding session. I'm gonna see where he's currently at, give him some tips on some things he should initially start doing. And I'm gonna be walking him through the entire roadmap on how to get him from 0 to 10, 25, 50,000 a month. Without further ado, let's go meet this guy at the cafe and see where he currently stands with his agency and how we can help him. Okay, sweet. So we made it to the cafe. We're here with Jaden. Let's go. And nice to meet you. So they're working on currently scaling their agency. Like you guys heard in the intro, we're gonna help them get from 0 to 10,000 a month. Yeah. Maybe this month, maybe next month. We'll focus on the inputs and we'll make it happen. So what I'm gonna get you to do is this is gonna be like the initial intro call, and I'm just gonna get you to run me through everything you're currently working on right now, what you did last month, how many clients you have, and we'll kind of just do this as an overview call for week one, get you some things that you could potentially work on immediately, and then next week we'll actually dive into, specific different system structures and kind of walk you through the whole process. So yeah.
So right now I'm currently running a kind of pay model, like pay per live transfer. So actually transferring the client, the lead, to the realtor on the phone, or I kind of booked them an appointment. I have currently.
So right now your model is they pay per live transfer?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like a setup fee, and then it's a pay per live transfer.
So there's a setup fee and then it's pay per live
Exactly,
transfer.
yeah. So I feel like that's more like, because I had no shows, that was my biggest bottleneck, so I kind of fixed that with the live transfers. I have currently like 4 clients, so one in Boston, one in San Diego, one in LA, and one in Miami.
Let's go. Wow,
so,
you really hammered it in the States.
Yeah, exactly. So that's great.
So my initial thoughts after hearing the whole pay per live transfer offer that Jaden is currently running, which you'll hear me dive a little bit deeper into it with him as well, but I've ran every different offer there is to run under the sun when it comes to pay per lead, the live transfer, pay per appointment, monthly retainers, quarterly payments, the pay in full model, which we currently run now. And without him diving even deeper into his offer, my first thing that I thought of was, okay, the pay per live transfer is good maybe in the beginning because there's a little bit less risk for the actual client, but from a long-term scalability perspective, you're adding a lot of complexity into your own business and what it is you're doing, because now you got to try and track every single appointment that you're booking for all the clients that you have. So at scale, that's going to be very difficult because you're going to have obviously 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 different clients. Now you got to track all the appointments and be able to actually charge accordingly for that and keep track of everything. When you're just starting off and you have 2, 3, 4, 5 people, it's very simple because you're only booking in so many appointments, you only have so many clients. And another thing is that you're gonna run into a lot of problems with the actual clients themselves complaining about the live transfer not being good enough. So now you're transferring over appointments to them, but they're like, oh, I'm not paying for that. Like, that was a shitty call. They're not even really that serious. They're looking a year out. So now you get into the battle of, okay, what's considered a good live transfer? What's considered not a good live transfer? And we used to do this ourselves. So I'm speaking from past experiences and learning from them. I used to charge per appointment, but then I ran into the problem of what's considered a good appointment, what isn't a good appointment, and there's all these different qualifiers that they need to hit in order for them to actually pay for that appointment. And obviously at scale, like I just said, that's very, very difficult. So we'll jump into the video here and let them explain a little bit deeper, but just breaking down that a little bit deeper and why I didn't like the whole live transfer thing. So how was last month for you?
So last month,
clients, what did you do last month?
It's 3.5K. I did the math.
3.5?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's 3.5K.
Let's go. There we go. Should work. 3.5K. That's where you currently stand. It is June 1st, so we're starting off the new month, last month of the quarter.
Yeah.
Ending off the first half this year. So as we just saw in the month of May, Jaden currently did 3.5K from May 1st to May 31st. And if you pause at that part in the screenshot, you can also see last month, it looks like he did 5K. So he's actually got some traction going here, which is perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. He's not at the very, very beginner stages of just trying to create socials and find a name and purchase the domain. So now we can actually scale this up and very easily get him to 10K a month with him just focusing on the right things, getting a little bit more clarity on maybe certain things that he's doing and, doubling down on what's already working. But we're going to dive in and see what exactly it is that he's doing to actually get clients, get sales calls, his outreach methods, and a lot of fun stuff. So let's keep keep getting into it. What does your process look like for acquisition? We'll dive into acquisition first. How are you getting sales calls? How are you reaching out to leads? And that's kind of where you come into play, right? You're helping out with cold calling and stuff like that. Hell yeah. Okay, sweet. So yeah, dive into the acquisition and explain to the people what you're doing right now, and then I'll explain what I think could be changed.
So right now, this week was really focused on like input volume, because most biggest volume we had with like appointments, booking more appointments every single day with no-shows, with shop rate as well. So I've got 5 more setters I got this week on the team. So I kind of find them on like Discord, Facebook groups, LinkedIn, just outreaching to guys. And we got on the pay-per-commission offer. So after I close the deal, they get paid. And right now we're at 5 setters. We do like daily calls to train them. And yeah, I just set them on JHL. They dial. Right now we're booking around, if I go on my metrics, we're booking around, okay, so for the month of May, it's not updated fully, but we had like 60 calls taken. It's more, because I have a couple, the last week I haven't, so it's 60 booked calls. It's more, because if you go on the tracking sheet, I haven't uploaded as well. But new calls taken, I took 24. Qualified was 14. Just follow-up call, every single thing, rescheduled. I had a 40% shop rate and a 58% qualified shop rate. Yeah, 2 closes. So one on a 3.5K for 3 months, and one on a $300. He prepaid the first 2 live transfers. And yeah, that's pretty much what it is about.
And then the close rate is... Okay, sweet. So after hearing Jaden's numbers, first takeaway for me was him pulling up the tracking sheet. That is A++. What a lot of people don't do is just track their numbers. And that's very, very crucial, because that allows you to actually see, okay, what's working, what isn't working, what should I focus on, what do I need to increase in order to make this month better and either get more sales calls, do I need more bookings, do I need to increase my show-up rate, is my close rate shit? So the fact that he is at the level that he's at and already knows to be tracking all of his numbers is excellent, because that is what a lot of people don't do, and it allows you to have no control. You don't know what's going on, you don't know the 20% that you should be focusing on or what you shouldn't be focusing on. And even from a coaching perspective, or looking at things, you don't have any data to work with, so I wouldn't even be able to say, okay, well, I don't know what you should be or shouldn't be doing, because we don't know any of the numbers. So very good with tracking all the numbers and having the sheet and keeping that dialed in. If you're not doing that right now, on the first of every month, you should be going through, looking at the past month and tracking all your numbers. After hearing his numbers, the biggest takeaways and the things that I heard were the 40% show-up rate and the 8.33% close rate. Those 100% need to be increased. Ideally, you'd want your show-up rate to be in the 60s, so high 60s, 65, 68%. That's where you want your show-up rate to be. That's a good show-up rate. And then close rate, obviously the standard is 20% plus. So you should be in the 20% when it comes to the closing rates. Now, without hearing anything else that he's going to be saying from an outreach perspective, that's my initial takeaway from it. So I'm going to dive into talking about how we can go about increasing that show-up rate and increasing his close rate. So here's what we're going to break down now. How are you actually doing your outreach? It's all cold calling?
Yeah, all cold calling.
All cold calling. Yeah. Okay, sweet. So I don't mind that. That's fine. The cold calling numbers seem decent. I don't know do you track how many cold calls you're making, how many booked appointments you're getting?
I don't really track it.
You don't? Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, you need to track that, because here's my thing. If you're doing a lot of cold calls and you have all the setters, that's great. But you need to see who's actually good and if it's working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if someone's making 200 cold calls, if you're making 200 cold calls and you only get 2 booked calls, well then something's got to change there. You got to change the script. You got to make sure that person's better at their job or whatever it looks like. So that's something you definitely need to track, and each person should have their own sheet and they track how many calls they're making and what's happening. Because otherwise you can just be doing a whole lot of output, doing a whole lot of input, a lot of calls, but with 0 output, and it's just going to be useless. If not, you might be like, okay, well, this person's making 200 calls, booking 2 appointments, like that's useless. Why is he even doing it? I might as well try doing DMs or something like that.
So track that, okay. Gotcha.
And then your only method of outreach right now is cold calling.
Yeah, just cold calling.
Okay, so here's my only thing with that. That's putting all of your eggs in one basket. What happens if a couple of those setters are like, I need to leave, or I can't do cold calling anymore, which happens all the time. That's inevitable.
So right now we're trying to set up a cold SMS to kind of like just have one setter call the warm leads.
Okay.
That's what we're looking at. Maybe paid ads, but I know we don't really want to tackle into it. I know you're a big heavy on paid ads.
Yeah.
I have the capital, like I could put some, but I don't see like right now being the best.
Yeah, maybe we'll dive in and help you set up a crazy paid ad strategy and take it up.
That would be dope.
Okay, sweet. That's tip number 1, is just don't have all your eggs in one basket, which seems like you're working on right now. So I would do cold calling, I would do DM, I would do LinkedIn outreach, SMS, email. Like, you want to make sure you have a couple different avenues, so if one thing breaks, you're not fucked. Like, everything doesn't get ruined. So that's one thing. And then next is going to be that close rate. So right now you're at 8.33%, which, you know, some of those weren't qualified, but overall you have to look at how many people showed up and what was the close rate. That's just the number you got to look at. So what do you think the biggest bottleneck is right now? Walk me through your sales process looks like. Walk me through what the qualifying process looks like before someone even gets on a call. If there's any questions getting asked, walk me through that kind of process.
So I'll pull up the Calendly. So I have an automation in place to where I send like case studies, because we have some case studies. We send a thank you, like, to book the appointments. We send like 2 testimonials. So did you get this? And kind of like social proof of, like, we work with a $7 million a year realtor. But yeah, we're sending around like at least 10 reminders with like case studies.
So trying to increase show up rate.
I'm calling them the same day to book them in. I follow them on social media as well, so they see my page. That helps one client just kind of build more trust to that.
Yeah, because right now your show up rate is 40%, right?
Yeah.
After hearing Jaden's strategy as far as sending out emails and SMSs to actually try and increase his show up rate and get these prospects to show up to his sales call, I immediately figured out what the main problem is, because it's a problem that we actually recently faced not too long ago, trying to get our show up rate to like high 60s, 70%, which is basically now where it's starting to hover to. So first and foremost, he's talking about how he's sending emails out with case studies and showing them different things that they've already done, and, you know, watch this testimonial video, watch this, do that. And the only problem with that is that you're not getting people excited to actually show up to the call. Because with cold outreach, you're reaching out to them, you're pitching them on an appointment. Now you gotta actually try and get them excited and give them a reason to show up. Because it's different when you're running paid ads. When you're running paid ads, well, people are opting into your ad and they wanna have a call with you, they're interested in your services. The odds of them showing up and being already interested are a little bit higher compared to when you're doing cold outreach. So with cold outreach, you can still send testimonials, still send the videos for them to watch, but you need to get them excited and give them a reason to actually show up to the call. So send emails that are like, hey, we got a call booked for tomorrow at 3 p.m. Super excited to walk you through this custom built strategy that I developed for you. You know, super pumped to meet you and run through the strategy. Just confirm or reply back if you're gonna show up. Start sending stuff like that where you're not getting people to do this, do that, watch this, and just more so getting them excited to actually show up to that sales call. Another thing is by the sounds of it, he's not doing any of his own personal setting. Obviously in the beginning stages, you're not gonna have a setter on payroll and having someone calling all your sales calls, but he can still be the day before calling his sales calls, confirming that they're showing up, asking a couple qualifying questions, and like I said, getting them excited to show up to the call. So the way that we do that is we say, hey Johnny, yeah, we have a call booked tomorrow at 3 p.m. I just want to call and ask a few questions because I'm customizing the strategy for you that I'm gonna walk you through. You good to, answer a few quick questions real quick. Most likely you're gonna be receptive and want to answer because it sounds like, you're gonna be customizing something for them. And once again, you're getting them excited for the call, but I'm gonna break this down as well in the video. Okay, sweet. So something you can do to try and increase your show up rate is getting the people excited for the call. So focus less on just like reminding them and like being like, here's a case study, watch this, do that, do this, and focus more on like getting them excited for the call. Like, hey, we're gonna be custom tailoring the strategy for you that I'm gonna walk you through in the sales call. Super excited to chat with you, because that gets people to want to show up. Like, you need to get them to want to show up to the call. But if you're just giving them tasks like watch this, do that, do this, like that's great. You need to implement that, but you also need to have stuff that just gets them excited to want to show up to the call. So you need to give them those reasons, like, hey, we're gonna be walking through a custom strategy that we built out for you. And right now, even if you start doing a little bit of setting yourself and calling your appointments the day before. So call them and be like, hey, I just want to confirm you're showing up, and you can even ask them a couple of different questions like, perfect, yeah, we're going to be walking through a custom strategy that I developed for you, and you just kind of personalize it, even though obviously you're not customizing everything, but it just gets them excited for it. Exactly. So that's one way you can increase the show up rate, because 40%, realistically, that should be at like 60, 65, high 60s. Like, that's what you want your show up rate to be. That's a good solid show up rate. So that's what you can do to try and change that, is change your automations a bit and add some that just get them excited for them. If I were you, I would call all of your sales calls the day before. Yeah, and confirm that they're showing up. Say, hey, I'm just gonna ask a few quick questions because I'm tailoring this strategy for you. Like, how many deals have you closed so far this year? What are you currently doing lead gen? Like, you can qualify them a little bit to make sure they're actually gonna show up. And then that way, a lot of people will just be like, yeah, I need to reschedule. Can you reschedule me? And then then it naturally increases your show up rate. And then from an actual sales perspective now, so your close rate's 8.33%. So ideally, you want that 20% plus. That's what I'm sure you already know. That's what a normal and good close rate is. So walk the people through what your current sales process looks like when you're in a sales call.
So my memo is kind of like realtors, if you know, most of the time they're not making that much money. So I just want to understand the whole process before kind of diving into what I do. So on how many sales, how many deals they closed, what are the current referrals, what they're doing referrals, they're doing cold calling, they're running ads. So I'm just trying to understand the kind of an overview of what they're doing. Just to understand their pain, what is not working, why they're not getting to where they want to be. Kind of build that gap to where, okay, you had like 2 transactions a month, you want to get to 4. We got to make some small changes, okay? Dig into the pain, make them understand they need to make a change now. And once I do that, I kind of like go back to like, okay, what happens if you don't make a change? To kind of build more urgency, because a lot of the time I need to think about it. Let's book a follow-up call. But most of the time they never close. So I've learned objection. I bought some courses. I got some mentorship about sales. So yeah, I'm getting better. It's a lot better. As you can see, I speak a bit fast. So on calls, I'm trying to slow down a bit. That helps a lot as well. So yeah, I think right now it's getting more dialed in. So we're working a lot, doing role plays. That is helping a lot, but yeah.
So there's a lot of great takeaways and things that Jane just mentioned about his sales journey and that actual process in the sales call. Clearly, he's doing a great discovery and he's diving into their pain points and what they're currently doing, what isn't working, what's going to happen if they're not hitting these goals. And my biggest takeaway from that, listening to what he was saying, is that, okay, he is selling very emotionally. He's relying on emotional-based selling, which for anyone who doesn't know what that is, you get people into an emotional state, like, what's going to happen if you don't hit these goals, if you don't take action, is the same stuff going to happen that happened last year? And you're getting them into kind of this emotional state, like they feel like they need to take action and do something, otherwise nothing's going to change and they're not going to hit these goals and XYZ will happen. Now that works great from a B2C perspective when you're selling to just obviously a customer or a regular person. Coaching offers is usually typically where you use that method of selling. Not saying that it can't work for any other niche or selling B2B to whatever space that you're in, but like I said, I'm just talking from my experience, what's worked very well for us specifically in the real estate space, selling B2B to realtors, especially when you're chatting with higher level agents, big business owners. Higher level people and big business owners don't make decisions based off of emotions. That's why they're at where they're at. They're definitely not going to make a decision based off an emotion and pull trigger on something that they don't actually feel like they think makes sense. They're just doing it strictly based off their emotions. That's why we rely on logical based selling. And it makes a lot more sense because when you're chatting with these higher level individuals, big business owners, they want to feel like at the end they learn so much and the process makes so much sense that they would feel dumb not to do it, because they just see how it can work so good for them and for their business, and the offer is so good for the value that we're providing that they just want to do it. So I'm going to chat about how Jaden can switch this to do more logical based selling, still have the great discovery that he has. We're going to figure out what his presentation looks like, and that will increase his close rate instantly. Okay, sweet. So by the sounds of it, it sounds like you're doing a lot of emotional based selling, right? Because you're saying like, what would happen if you didn't take action, you didn't get to that deal month mark that you want to get to. And then after you do the discovery, you figure out their pain points, which is the beginning of the call, which is amazing. And then do you walk them through like a presentation as far as the process and stuff like that?
So I do like, instead of doing a pitch deck, I do a moral board.
Okay.
Because this is one of my sales training what she told me to do.
Yeah.
So I can just more tailor the pitch to what they need.
Okay.
So I was on a call yesterday. She told me that she wanted just listing, and because I was just like having a Mario board where it's just like me kind of going through the process.
Yeah.
It's just like showing the ads, showing the process, the percentage of conversion rates, appointments we booked, and then it's kind of like tailoring to their needs.
Yeah.
And then I just go from there.
Yeah, and you said at the start that you're trying to avoid the getting I'll think about it or like stuff like that. So here's a one-liner that I did that I think I mentioned to you before, is like before you jump into the call, before I go through the presentation, I do the discovery that right before I jump into the presentation, I say, hey, listen, I'm just going to ask you for one quick favor before we actually, jump into this stuff, that this could end in 3 different ways. One is, hell yeah, Carter, let's get this rolling, makes perfect sense. Another is, no, I have no interest at all. And that's completely fine with me. If that's the case, it is what it is. I'm a big boy, I can handle it. But all I ever ask from people is they don't get any, think about it or maybes, and then I'm going to follow up with you for the end of time. If you're good with that, then I'll run you through this stuff here. But, if not, then it is what it is. And they're like, yeah, no, it's good with me. I'm fine with that. Mm-hmm. So then you completely eliminate the fact of they cannot say I'll think about it, they can't say maybe, because you already addressed that concern at the beginning. And that's the only thing that they can say at the end. If you do a proper discovery, there's nothing at the end that they can say where you won't be able to close them saying yes or no, right on the call. So as long as you're doing the proper discovery and you're figuring out their timelines, you eliminate the timeline objective. You ask them if they have a partner, if the decision maker, you eliminate that objective. They don't need to talk to anyone. So as long as you're thinking of what they could possibly say at the end to get out of the call, and you already cover it, then you're good to go. Yeah. So that's one thing. And then the whole emotional based selling for us personally with selling B2B, realtors are business owners, they're entrepreneurs, they get pitched on this stuff all the time, they understand the game. You're not selling to like a customer, you're not selling to just another person looking to buy like a coaching program or something like that. So the emotional aspect of things doesn't always work because they don't really care. They just want to see the value, they want to see if it's going to work, they don't want to waste their time. Like you're not going to get them really in an emotional state unless they're like a brand new agent and they just need to figure things out. But if you're talking to high quality realtors of big teams, like you're not going to get that guy in an emotional state. He's just looking for something that's going to work and is not going to waste his time, and it's a good fee for the value you're providing. The discovery is more so just getting the ammunition you need to crush the sales call and to be able to revert back to the things they already said to handle the rebuttals. But in the actual body of the sales call, you should be just selling them logically. It should be logical based selling. It should just be at the end of the call, you've made it so simple for them to understand how this process works and what you're doing and just how it works, that they're just like, holy fuck, this makes so much sense. Like, why would I not want to do this? Like this is just a no-brainer. Like for the value you're providing, you've made me understand it so well, the whole process. Your fee is good. It makes sense for what you're doing. Like this just all makes so much sense to me that I want to buy. And that's logical based selling, and that's usually a better approach when you're going B2B. Because like I said, you're not going to get that high quality realtor in an emotional state. Like no one's getting me in an emotional state. I'm never making the decision on based off emotional. So you want to sell me on like where I just at the end I'm like, holy fuck, this makes so much sense. It's a no-brainer offer. Like, I kind of have to do this. This is just such a good pitch. So I would start to try and maybe focus more on that and do your discovery, and then have your Miro board or your presentation where you walk them through the whole process. It's very, very simplistic because people love simplicity. They don't like complexity. It's got to be very easy for them to make a decision. And then they're just like, yeah, this makes so much sense. I want to do it.
Okay, so I think that's what I'm thinking, man. I need to put that like kind of a pitch where it's way more like it makes so much sense.
Yeah, you want to make everything very, very simple too. You don't want to, at any point in time, if you think people are confused, you failed. Because if people are confused, it's like, I'm done. Like now you lost me, I'm done. So you need to have it very, very simplistic where they just understand exactly how this is going to work for them. They just want it. So I think that'll increase your close rate, because trying to sell emotionally in this B2B doesn't always work unless it's like a newer realtor and you can kind of get them in that emotional state for long enough.
I tried the yes or no. Sometimes they just give it to me away.
Yeah.
Now I kind of like have like the bill wash, like objections.
Yeah.
That works. Like,
Okay.
able to get whether it's money, feel logistical.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's more fear. Just kind of like, okay, can I talk to clients? Can you send me? And I have numbers they can call, but it's kind of like always relying on my clients to call them. It's kind of like them, they're getting pissed off as well. Because stop getting me like some calls, and then I want to just like be able to, because I know I can help them.
Yeah.
I got some results. I know what we do helps them, and it works. Now I kind of need to make them feel more trust about it.
Oh yeah. And your service delivery, we won't dive deep into that because it's doing pretty good right now. Yeah, you're getting good leads. You've got the ads figured out. You're doing live transfers right now, so all that's fine. We won't dive into that. But the goal,
I want to say it's because of these videos. Like, this video helps. Like,
yeah, I appreciate it. So right now you did 3.5K in May.
Last one I did 5K. The one before I did 5K.
Okay, hell yeah. So there's some traction. So
now we got a good overview of where Jaden's at. We broke down that sales process and dove a little bit deeper, and I'm very confident in his ability now to actually increase that close rate, knowing what he now knows, and sell a little bit more logically based instead of relying fully on the emotional aspect of selling. So with that being said, the goal of this series, as you guys read in the title, is to get Jaden to go from basically 0 to 10K a month. Obviously already has some traction, but the goal is to get him to that magical 10K a month number. And the main things that I'm going to get him to focus on is to increase the show up rate by doing some setting for yourself and calling your appointments the day before, getting them excited to show up to the call. Add some more things into your Calendly automation or your automation that's sending them to get them once again excited to actually join the call. Increasing that closing rate by implementing that one-liner that I mentioned in the video and selling more logically based instead of emotional based. Don't have all your eggs in one basket from an outreach perspective. Just because you're doing cold calling, it's working, that's great, but track all those numbers for one, and also start doing more outreach through Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook groups, and overall just get some more volume.
we want to get from there to 10K a month this month. So what I want you to focus on before we meet up next Sunday, which subscribe if you want to see part 2, is you're going to add to your Calendly automations to increase your show up rate, because you just need to take more calls. Your close rate needs to be higher, your show up rate needs to be higher. So you're going to start doing setting yourself the day before you have calls. So if you have calls booked for tomorrow, you should be going home and doing setting and calling those people, confirming that they're coming, ask them some questions or reschedule them, because a lot of them need to reschedule, they just don't do it themselves. Like, we reschedule so many people, but they just don't do it themselves. So you're going to start doing setting, you're going to add to your Calendly automations getting people excited to show up for the call. And
Custom, right?
exactly.
Custom, okay.
And when you do your setting too, call those people and say like, yeah, I'm gonna ask a few good questions just because I'm customizing the strategy for you. And that way they're more receptive to answering. They're like, oh shit, this can be a pretty cool call. I want to show up now. So you're gonna start doing that to increase your show up rate. Second thing is you're gonna try to increase your close rate. So focus less on getting them in an emotional state. Just do a proper good discovery, build rapport, and just ask the questions you need to ask and dig deep. Start implementing that one-liner and think that'll help. That changed the game for me anyways. If you want to, you can. If not, do the current strategy you're doing right now. And then just sell more logically based. So make sure your presentation's very simplistic. They just understand what you do, how you've already done it, how it can work for them, and that's it. Those are the things I want you to focus on before next week. And then right before we end this off, what does your offer look like right now? So I'm at the end of the call right now. Explain to me what your offer is.
So the setup fee is pretty simple. We do like a $1,500 setup fee to put the system in place, the ISA, the ad specialist, the automation in place, the AI, and then it's pay per live transfer. So $150 per live transfers, we're getting them. Right now we were tweaking the offers a lot, so now I'm kind of sticking to that offer to scale to 10K, and then we'll go from there. But yeah,
Okay,
that's pretty much it.
You said it's a 1.5K setup fee.
Yeah.
What's the agreement length?
90 days.
90 days. So 1.5K for 90 days, and then $150 per live transfer.
Exactly.
And that's the only thing you show them.
Yeah, and just the ad spend is like $30.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. The ad spend's on top of that. But that's like the only thing you show them is just that one offer.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, that's good. I like that. At the end of the day, any offer could work. I don't mind that offer. It's good. It's a good setup fee for the value you provide in the beginning, and you're just trying to get some people. It's very cheap, which is what that's what it should be though, because you're trying to get clients right now. You're trying to get into things. So to be honest, you could probably increase that a little bit. Like I might even tell you eventually to increase that, but I think that's good. That's good for the beginning. You're trying to get your feet wet and just get more and more results and value. So I like that offer. You have the one offer, which is perfect because, like I said, simplicity scales, and you don't want shit to be complex. So as long as it's very simple, you show them one thing, like this is all around. This is the offer I have. It's 1.5K, 90 days, $150 for a live transfer. You cover your ad spend. Beautiful. You're making people they can't think about anything else because there's nothing else to think about. So that's good. So yeah, that's the plan.
Okay, I got you.
Increase show up rate, start doing setting, Calendly automations, get them excited, logical based selling, implement that one-liner maybe, do good on the discovery, and then start doing the more outreach that you're doing. So start tracking the cold calls, but don't have all your eggs in one basket. You don't even know yet. You might start sending DMs and they just go off. Like you just book a shit ton of appointments from DM setting that you're just missing out on because you're just not doing it. So start doing the DM outreach and start just doing more different avenues of outreach.
Okay, so I'll definitely get into that next week. Okay, sweet.
Let's go. Okay. Let's make it happen. 10K in June. We'll meet up again next week for part 2, see where you're at, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into more specific stuff, but I just wanted to do this as an overview call. Pleasure meeting you. Sorry, not too many questions to ask you, but you wanted to come and listen in. You're helping them out with doing the cold calling and stuff like that. Yeah. So, hell yeah. Okay, let's go. Like, subscribe, comment down below if you like this and you guys want to see more of it. Like I mentioned at the start of this call, this is all lead up to a big program I've been working on since the start of this year to actually help you guys and give you the whole roadmap as far as what we did to scale our agency to 6 figures a month. So appreciate you guys. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.